Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2020-2021 Distinguished Alumni Award Ceremony. My name is Bruce McClung, and as Dean of the College of Visual and Performing Arts, it's my pleasure to welcome you here tonight. I'm really personally grateful for all of the ways that our alumni enrich this college. Obviously, the luster and the diversity of their careers brings recognition to our programs and to our faculty. We're always happy when our newest alumni land their first positions or their first roles or their first exhibits. We follow the careers of our mid-career faculty, alumni, as they receive breaks in their career. And of course, tonight we honor our most distinguished alumni. Alumni also frequently return to the college to share their artistry and wisdom. All of tonight's recipients have spent time with our current students, which is great because it provides our students with a window into the professional world and the range of opportunities for professional careers. Alumni also give back to this college by creating additional opportunities for both faculty and students through annual giving and testamentary planned giving. And our November e-newsletter will feature profiles of two of our alumni who have recently made such gifts. Our alumni have also formed strong networks, both here in North Carolina and in cities across the United States. And these networks provide professional and collegial support to one another and also for our newest graduates. UNC graduates from the College of Visual and Performing Arts who moved to Los Angeles or New York, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, have really strong networks that often provide professional contacts when our newest alumni move to these cities. And so in closing, I'm really grateful for the myriad of ways that alumni enrich the reputation of this college and also the direction of the college. At our alumni network events across the country, alumni frequently tell me things that they found valuable in their training here, and also things that they feel need updating. And it's the presence of alumni on our board of visitors that help set the direction for this college. So I know November is a month of Thanksgiving, and it was October in Canada. But during this month of Thanksgiving, I am particularly grateful for all of the ways that our alumni both reap what they learned here in Greensboro and then sow it back for future alumni. So without further ado, we'll begin tonight's ceremony. Christopher Cassidy, Director of the School of Art, will introduce our first recipient. Chris?
Thanks so much, Bruce. So thanks to everybody for attending tonight's event. Really excited to see everybody virtually, if not in person. It's my great pleasure to introduce Sheena Rose as the School of Arts 2020 Distinguished Alumna. Sheena came to the MFA program in 2014 as a Fulbright Fellow and was already receiving recognition for her work through international exhibitions and residencies. Her work then and now was grounded in her experience as an artist working in Barbados, but actively engaged with the international art world. She has always been active, always engaged with some new project or creative effort, and has built an impressive career over a very short period, as you can see from the many highlights featured in tonight's program. I happened to be in Miami last year for a college recruiting event and was so happy to be able to catch Sheena's wall-size mural at the Perez Art Museum, which was a real centerpiece of an excellent show featuring important new artists from the Caribbean. As an MFA student, Sheena was absolutely accomplished and driven, but also dealing with the same sorts of false starts and stumbling blocks as nearly all new graduate students, who are figuring out how to integrate this new experience of often geographic dislocation and artistic questioning with the person and artist that they had previously been. Sheena dealt with this in the best possible way by working through it, trying out a dizzying number of experimental strategies and approaches. Her results were always surprising, often darkly humorous, and frequently moving. Among all the drawings, paintings, performances, and videos that Sheena created while a graduate student, two stand out in my memory as being special moments. The first was an installation performance titled This Strange Land, where Sheena transformed her studio on the third floor of the art building into a mixed media stage set with paper palm trees and a video ocean. Sheena replaced the door of the studio with a panel with a small cutout fitted with a prop set of binoculars, so viewers had to look through this small aperture to catch a glimpse of Sheena herself, moving in and out of the shadows in a white outfit crafted from domestic housewares. The entire experience was completely surreal, but also incredibly eloquent in its performance of insider and outsider, audience and viewer. Sheena's thesis work was something else entirely, another surprise. Finally, I Love Myself was an invented soap opera series shot in incredible lo-fi, black and white video. Sheena created dozens of episodes, and I don't even know how many she got up to, featuring the lives, loves, and occasional deaths of a rich cast of characters, all played by Sheena herself. The episodes are hilariously melodramatic, but also demonstrate Sheena's acute observation of personality and relationships. She released the videos serially on Instagram and other social media sites, and they very quickly developed an online community of avid viewers demanding the next installment. Sheena's graduate school years at UNCG were just a small slice in time in an exciting and meaningful career that is very much still growing and changing, and we were so fortunate to have an opportunity to be a part of that, and are incredibly proud of what she has accomplished since. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sheena.
Before we hear from Sheena, I'm very pleased to present her with our 2020-2021 Distinguished Alumni Award. This is a photograph of the award that Sheena will receive. Normally, I would be presenting this to Sheena, but tonight we get to see a photograph. And now, without further ado, Sheena Rose.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Imagine I on the stage. Yeah, you know. Oh, thank you, Dean. Thank you, UNCG. I didn't come prepared with any speeches. Thank you, Chris. I don't know where to start. I could just start saying thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel so honored. I feel so proud. I feel Chris put me back into a time machine. And Chris, hearing you talking made me miss you. I miss you, but made me miss that moment being in the studio, talking about the struggles, talking about the ideas, you know, I keep going. My thesis committee was amazing. Shara Oren, Barbara Campbell, Thomas, Dr. Elizabeth Parrow, and Chris Cassidy. And we will have discussions about ideas on how to develop it. Oh, yes, Elizabeth, yes. And I mean, coming from Barbados, and first thing first, I didn't imagine myself to have a Fulbright. You know, because as Chris mentioned there very beautifully about finally I love myself, because to be honest, I didn't like myself. I hate myself. And UNCG have given me that opportunity to sit back, reflect, and try to ask myself, who am I? Where am I from? Why am I doing this? And it was scary, you know, very, very frustrating and scary at the same time. And I decided to put myself in a box, and with such beautiful instructors, the school just to encourage you and push you. Yes, I was very frustrated because it feels as though I know I could go further. I know I could break the boundaries, and UNCG have done that for me. After UNCG, I have shown internationally, I have shown in museums, I've been in major collections, in art fairs, TV shows, everything, because UNCG have pushed me and given me permission to keep going. So I would love to thank everybody, the staff, the teachers that taught me, administration, everything for I get goosebumps. I didn't prepare a speech at all. I wish I was up first because then I could copy somebody. So, but thank you so much again, everyone. I miss y'all. And I feel proud that I'm making y'all proud. I'm a Spartan for life. I'm a UNCG for life. Thank you. Applause.
Thank you, Sheena. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And now we'll hear from Janet Lilly, Director of the School of Dance.
Good evening, everyone. It's so great to see you all. And Sheena, that was delightful. I hope you can all hear me. Is it okay? I guess so. You'll tell me if it's not. On behalf of the School of Dance faculty, staff, and students, I'm delighted to introduce our 2020 Dance Distinguished Alumna and Professor Emerita of Dance, Dr. Sue Stinson. Sue's research contributions to the field of dance education and awards are so numerous that I don't think I could even begin to list them all here. But just in case you haven't had a chance to review the program ahead of time, she has a remarkable record of research publications, both nationally and internationally. And I'd also like to make note of some of her impressive national awards, which include a National Dance Association Scholar Award in 1994, a National Dance Education Organization Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012, and the Congress on Research in Dance Award for Outstanding Scholarly Research in Dance, also in 2012. Since being recruited to UNCG Dance in 1979 to develop the Dance K-12 teaching licensure program, and then receiving her EDD from UNCG in 1984, Sue has mentored countless dance educators regionally, nationally, and internationally. She has served as the School of Dance chair from 1993 to 2002. I don't know how she did that. And the director of dance of undergraduate studies, which is one of our most challenging service positions within the school from 2002 to 2012. To cap it off, her UNCG leadership credits include that she served as the interim dean of the School of Music, Theater, and Dance in 2012-13, which, by the way, was also the year she retired from UNCG. Since retirement, Sue has remained very active as a community social activist, and I'm very impressed she's here tonight because I'm sure she would really want to be watching all of those maps we're watching to look what's happening in Georgia and Pennsylvania and Arizona, because I know Sue in her heart, that's where part of her is. When the dance faculty sat around the table to talk about Sue and the nomination process, everyone that had worked with her had a special memory of Sue's profound impact on their lives. From one of our newer hires, Technical Director Christopher Fleming, who proclaimed proudly right away that Sue had registered him to vote in North Carolina, to longtime dance education faculty member Melinda Wagerly, who was also a student of Sue's, who reflected that Sue's firm grounding in what matters most became the clarion call of her research that fostered a new way of thinking about learning at UNCG and throughout the world. We are also grateful for Sue's continued contributions to the School of Dance. These include establishing the Sue Stinson Program Enrichment Endowment to support activities for continuing School of Dance students to education in schools and communities with low wealth students, as well as projects that situate dance in the context of social justice. She's contributed to the landscaping project that we did in memoriam of Jan Van Dyke, the Jan Van Dyke Courtyard Project. And her continued impact on emerging dance student educations is apparent in her recent classroom visits as our distinguished alum to the MA in Dance Education, cohort, which is actually the MA in Dance Education, is an innovative hybrid program that she developed for educators in the field so they could continue their studies. And then also she's been meeting with our undergraduate dance education classes. We're really thrilled tonight, and this just seems so appropriate, to announce that one of the dance educators that Sue has mentored has created the UNCG Susan W. Stinson Book Award for Dance Education in her honor. This is funded by an anonymous donor, and this annual book award will recognize book-length publications of excellence in dance education and authors who conduct exemplary inquiry that advances the field. We're officially opening the award for nominations tomorrow. Somehow this just seems like a perfect recognition for Sue and all that she's contributed and accomplished so selflessly over the years. Sue, we are so grateful for your work and service. Thank you.
So it's my pleasure to present Sue Stinson with the 2020-2021 College of Visual and Performing Arts Distinguished Alumni Award. Congratulations, and now we'll hear from Sue.
Thank you, Bruce, Dean McClung, and thank you, Janet, for your generous remarks. And thank you to all of my friends and former colleagues and family members for showing up tonight. I see so many faces that I have missed, and it's so heartwarming. I also thank my colleagues for selecting me for this award. I, of course, never had the privilege of being a student in your classes, but as I'll get to shortly, you count as among my most influential teachers. One of the topics we were asked to address in our remarks this evening. Since I'm officially a UNCG alum by virtue of earning my doctorate in curriculum studies, I want to take a moment to mention 3 faculty in the School of Education: Jim McDonald, David Purple, and Svi Shapiro, who were so influential in helping me find a way to understand the injustices that I had observed in schools and find a connection to my work in arts education. Dr. Purple asked me, as well as other dance folks in the program, the most uncomfortable question. Doesn't it seem rather trivial to be prancing around in leotard and tights while there is so much suffering in the world? But then he supported me in finding an answer which sustained me throughout my career in dance education. What a gift. I'm immensely grateful to him, as well as to Dr. McDonald, who happened to have studied with dance education pioneer Margaret Dobler, and Dr. Shapiro, who later married a dance educator, for helping me find language to write about these issues and starting me on a journey that has continued ever since, even during my retirement. But as influential as these 3 individuals and that program were, I consider myself an unofficial alumna in dance, because during the 35 years I was on the dance faculty, I learned as much from my colleagues and students as I did from any one professor during my undergraduate and graduate programs. 3 of my colleagues were valued collaborators in teaching and/or writing. Doctors Gay Cheney, Jill Green, and Ann Dills. I considered Ann, in particular, a collegial mentor, so much so that I asked her to co-author an article about collegial mentoring. Through working with Ann, I was able to identify the blind spots in my own thinking. Not only did we teach and write together, but also asked each other for sincere critique of our own work, even when it was in draft form, when we wouldn't dare show it to anyone else. I always knew I could trust Anne to let me know if anything I wrote might be embarrassing to me if I could see what she did, and to tell me in a kind way. I wish for all faculty and alums such relationships in their professional lives. But I learned from so many of my colleagues in dance and beyond. I admired then and still admire now all they know and can do that is outside my sphere of experience and expertise. I envy the many dance students who have studied with those colleagues who were at UNCG with me and those who have come since I retired. But I also learned from colleagues when we disagreed. And I came to recognize that sometimes they not only saw things I didn't see, but saw the same things differently. This is a most difficult yet valuable lesson, professionally and in life in general, including in our lives as citizens during these fraught times. My students were also some of my most important teachers, not just ones who went on to become my colleagues, like Dr. Doug Reisner, who won this same award a few years ago, someone else with whom I co-authored and exchanged work for mutual critique. One of the most important lessons I learned, though, was from the most challenging students, the lesson of humility. While it's very good for one's ego to have students who think we are wonderful, thus reinforcing the way we teach, that doesn't help us grow beyond where we are. Because if we think we already have all the answers, we don't keep asking questions. Now, Dean McClung also suggested that we offer any advice we would have for current students in the schools of art, dance, music, and theater. So to finish up, I'll offer what is sort of a summary to what I've just said. If you aspire to becoming a lifelong learner, as I hope you will, first, among your teachers and peers now, don't just listen to those who agree with you and think you're always wonderful. Then, after you graduate, find colleagues, those who will not just support you, but also challenge you, hopefully with kindness and respect, not as an adversary or competitor. Be willing to do the same for them. Some of these colleagues may be your fellow students or even faculty members now. So be sure to maintain those relationships in the future while you make new ones. Second, don't just depend on others, but be your own teacher. Ask yourself questions that will make you uncomfortable or off balance and embrace them. As dancers know, it's only when we are off balance and maybe even start to fall that we can move beyond where we are. Third, even in the tough times, don't lose the joy and sense of total engagement that you find in the arts. And share them with others, whether as a teacher, performer, scholar, art supporter, citizen, parent, or any other role in which you find yourself. And finally, be aware that what you are learning as a student in the arts is preparation not just for a career, but for a meaningful and interesting life with all of the possibilities and uncertainties that may lie ahead. Thank you, and be well.
Thank you, Sue, and congratulations again. Dennis Askew will now present the awards from the School of Music.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with you. And we have two fantastic folks who are graduates of the School of Music. But I would also like to take just a moment to recognize the wonderful thing that it is to see all of our emeritus faculty from the School of Music, from dance, from theater, and from art who are able to join with us. And I think it's wonderful to see everyone coming back together again for this event, even though it's virtual. And as we were saying early on, that we miss the ability to embrace and to have small talk and chatter and share a meal together. But it's certainly wonderful to see all of you here, and all, of course, of the friends and family of our honorees. It's just great to have everyone here with us tonight. Andy Langford has maintained a distinguished career in trombone performance, instruction, and leadership throughout his entire career. Andy holds a Bachelor of Music and Music Education and the Doctor of Musical Arts in Trombone Performance from UNCG, as well as a Master of Trombone Performance, Master's degree in Trombone Performance from University of Kansas. He's a professor of music at James Madison University, been there since 2001. And Dr. Langford has developed a trombone performance studio considered to be absolutely the top program in the state of Virginia. His students have continuously excelled in all the programs offered at James Madison. He founded the trombone choir there as the trombonist with the Madison Brass, their faculty brass quintet, and continues to annually host the Tromblow-In, a statewide and neighboring states event he hosts each year for trombonists of all levels and ages. He's been the first-year student advisor at James Madison since 2008 and teaches both basic and intermediate conducting classes in addition to his trombone duties. He has extensive solo performances in national and international venues, as well as numerous ensemble concerts throughout the world. Andy's dissertation, The Integration of the Trombone into the Conjunto Ensembles of Salsa Music, continues now to be the most authoritative and often quoted treatise on the subject. His work with some of the most well-known trombonists in salsa music, many of whom who are now deceased, was completed at a time when salsa music was just beginning to be valued for its ethnic roots and sophisticated structure. Dr. Langford continues to refer to UNCG as being one of the major influences in his career. And with that, I would like to turn this back over to Bruce for the awarding of the Distinguished Alumni Award.
So congratulations to Dr. Andrew Langford. It's my pleasure to present to you the 2020-2021 Distinguished Alumni Award from the College of Visual and Performing Arts. And we'll now hear from Dr. Langford.
Well, good evening, everyone. When Dennis first informed me that I had been recognized for this particular distinction, I was truly both surprised and humbled. And as I thought about all of my fantastic and successful peers at UNCG, musicians and colleagues that I had the great fortune to collaborate with on a daily basis, I could not help but wonder initially why I had been singled out for such a tremendous honor. But I am truly grateful to the administration and the faculty of the School of Music for recognizing my accomplishments in such a significant and meaningful way. I grew up in a small town in South Carolina. We had one high school there. I had a pretty good band program, but none of my colleagues nor myself took private lessons. As far as I know, I was the only student that was in my graduating class who went on to college and major in music at the college level, much less pursue a career in music. But whenever I was asked, Andy, what do you want to be when you grow up? Instead of saying the usual things like an astronaut or a doctor or a pilot, I always felt this very strong pull to a career in music, and I never really questioned that desire. I never forced myself to come up with alternatives because to me, nothing else really felt right. So I truly believe that music was what I was born to do. And that's always been a great comfort to me that at least that part of my path was made so clear so early on. And when I graduated from Seneca High School in 1985, I started at a small liberal arts college for 2 years, which was slightly larger than my high school. But there were significantly more opportunities for me to explore my passion for music. And as I was studying at Brevard College, I started to become very aware of the excellent reputation of the School of Music at UNCG and with its outstanding trombone professor, Dr. Randy Kohlenberg. So I began my undergraduate studies at UNCG in music education in 1987. And my time there was impactful in so many ways. I would be here the rest of the night to list them all, so I do want to just mention a few. I've already mentioned my outstanding colleagues and my peers, many of who have gone on to successful careers of their own. And it was a great pleasure to perform with them, and learn from them, and to be part of such a supportive and collaborative environment and community of fellow musicians was truly a blessing. I met the love of my life at UNCG, and I'll never forget the first time I saw her in the band library outside of the large rehearsal room there in the Brown Music Building. And Heather and I have now been married for 29 years, and we have 2 beautiful and wonderful children. During my years at UNCG, I was fortunate to be able to learn from the world-class faculty that was assembled there. And these professors all had a common purpose for developing well-rounded students who were successful both academically and artistically. And being able to hear the applied faculty perform on a regular basis was truly inspirational. And when I first arrived to UNCG, that outstanding brass faculty included my teacher, Randy Kohlenberg. Jack Massari was teaching horn, Dave Lewis, the tuba and euphonium, and Fred Beck was our trumpet professor. When I returned from my doctoral work, Ed Bach was the new trumpet professor, and Dennis Askew took over the tuba and euphonium studio once Dave Lewis retired. And I'm very thankful for all of their wisdom, their anecdotes, their stories, and of course their very helpful, constructive comments on my jury evaluations at the end of the semesters. And while I learned so much from all of my professors and all of my classes at UNCG, there are 2 professors who were particularly influential in my development as a person, as a scholar, and as an artist. And those are Dr. Randy Kohlenberg and Dr. John Locke. I played in Dr. Locke's wind ensemble during my entire time at UNCG, and I never will forget that first wind ensemble rehearsal. And I was immediately impressed at the serious tone and the atmosphere in the room that day and every day after. I'm pretty sure that there was more than one instance in that rehearsal when I had to stop playing because I was so caught up in the moment, because it was dawning on me that this was the finest group of musicians I'd ever played with, and it was the finest conductor I'd ever played for. And I learned so much about being a collaborative musician under Dr. Locke's direction. His passion for the music, his attention to detail, his insistence on and relentless pursuit of excellence were infectious. And as part of the music education curriculum, I was very fortunate to be able to take 2 separate conducting classes with Dr. Locke. And those conducting fundamentals and the rehearsal techniques that he taught me in the classes and as a member of the wind ensemble have been extremely valuable as I use those skills with my own groups at JMU. To this day, whenever someone compliments me on my conducting skills, I make sure that I say, everything I know about conducting, I learned from John Locke at UNCG. And for many years, I was hired by Dr. Locke to work for the summer music camp, first as a camp counselor and rehearsal assistant, and later as one of a small handful of people that served in a more administrative capacity for the camp. And it was such an inspiration to witness Dr. Locke's impeccable organization, his enthusiasm, his attention to detail, his tireless work ethic, and just his overall dedication to the development and the huge success of that summer music camp. Being so heavily involved with that camp for so many years has really served me well as I've organized similar events on a much smaller scale in all of my college teaching positions. Lastly, Dr. Locke had an incredible sense of humor and seemed to know exactly what to say and what to do to lift your spirits, whether that was a performing a mind-blowing card trick on the bus to help break the monotony of traveling on a band tour, or just telling us a funny joke during a very stressful time of week at the summer music camp. Now, until I came to UNCG in 1987, I had never had an actual trombone lesson from a trombone teacher. So I owe a great deal of my development and success as a person and as a musician, as a performer and a teacher, as a mentor and a colleague to the experiences I've had working closely with Dr. Randy Kohlenberg at UNCG. His mentorship during my studies at UNCG have truly impacted my career in countless significant and positive ways, and I'm eternally grateful for his guidance. As his primary teaching assistant in the applied area during my doctoral studies, I learned how to build and maintain a quality teaching studio, an experience that has contributed greatly to my success with the trombone studio at James Madison. The additional responsibility of serving as the assistant conductor of the UNCG trombone ensemble also was invaluable. In addition, his careful, efficient, and wise input during my doctoral dissertation process was extremely helpful and insightful. And among his many outstanding qualities as a mentor was one that was continuously evident in our daily interaction, and that was his empathetic approach to teaching. His students were inspired to succeed due to the depth and genuine nature of his investment in their highest and fullest potential. We succeeded because Dr. Kohlenberg's heartfelt stake in our success inspired greatness from within. He taught us how to approach problems creatively and adjust our teaching methods to ensure that our students truly understood even the most complex concepts. When I arrived at UNCG, I already had a strong foundation of organization skills, discipline, work ethic, but Dr. Kohlenberg really helped me to realize the true purpose and need for that discipline. And as a music performer and teacher, it is difficult to express the focus and the confidence and peace of mind that is drawn from this. Dr. Kohlenberg trusted us to develop as teachers and performers even when sometimes we had doubts about our own progress. But instead of micromanaging our work, he allowed us to make mistakes and expected us to take responsibility and to learn from those mistakes. We realized that with his guidance and our hard work, our potential was truly limitless. His students tended to develop into self-sufficient, creative, and lifelong learners. And if we ever needed support or help with a situation, we always knew we could reach out to Dr. Kohlenberg, and he would be happy to help regardless of how busy he was. And I'm not sure I've ever met anyone that has been as busy as Randy Kohlenberg. His kindness and the sense of camaraderie that he created within the trombone studio at UNCG was unique in an otherwise very competitive music school environment. He encouraged us to help one another and to support each other. And this inspired a love and a joy for music in every student who passed through his studio. It was not simply a group of trombone students, but a professional learning community in which every student learned from one another and most notably from him. I would not be where I am today without all of his wisdom, patience, and guidance during my years at UNCG and beyond. And I try to pass on some of that wisdom every day to my own students at James Madison. In closing, I'm very grateful to UNCG for giving me such a strong and solid education, which has ultimately led to any success that I've enjoyed thus far in my career. So with that, I sincerely thank you for this recognition. It really means so much to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for those comments, and congratulations on your award. And now Dennis Askew will present the second Distinguished Alumni Award in the School of Music.
Through the course of the years of my being at UNCG, I've been kind of always involved with our North Carolina Music Educators Association. Typically there to sort of rub elbows with the band directors and do some recruiting and get to know a lot of those folks. And there was always a name that I would hear, and that was of Fran Page. I would hear like, okay, are you going to Fran's presentation? Or you'd see Fran because she was president of the organization or whatever it was. And her name was just sort of everywhere when one would attend the NCMEA conference. And so when her name came up from our music education faculty as a nomination, I was, well, just not surprised. It made perfect sense to me. Dr. Fran Page is Professor Emeritus of Meredith College and founder of the Capital City Girls Choir. During her 36-year tenure in higher education, she served in many capacities, including chair of the Department of Communication and Performing Arts, coordinator of music education, and director of choral activities. Dr. Page is a past president of the North Carolina Music Educators Association and past chair of the Arts Education Leadership Coalition. She also is past president of the Southern Division of the National Association for Music Education. She holds a BA degree in music education from Limestone College in South Carolina and earned both the MM and EDD degrees in music education from UNCG. Recognized for her expertise as a children's choral specialist, Fran frequently conducts workshops and festivals throughout the United States and has completed considerable scholarly work in the area of curriculum integration and arts curriculum planning and assessment, and consults with many schools in that capacity. Dr. Page has served on numerous teacher education program approval teams for NCDPI and has published in the Journal of Research in Music Education, as well as other publications. Throughout 2000, she's published an influential series of articles focused on the implications and implementation of the national and state educational standards in music. She's also distinguished herself as a national, regional, and state choral and general music education clinician and as a highly respected choral conductor and adjudicator. In 2004, Fran was named Tar Heel of the Week by the Raleigh News and Observer, and in 2007, she was designated as a National Association for Music Education Lowell Mason Fellow. Recently, in 2018, she was presented the Order of the Longleaf Pine, which is among the most prestigious awards conferred by the Governor of North Carolina. It is awarded to persons with exemplary service to the state that is just above and beyond the call of duty and that have made significant impact and strength in North Carolina. Later that year, she was awarded the Raleigh Medal of Arts, that city's highest honor in the arts as well. So it is with great pleasure that I've been able to introduce to you Dr. Fran Page.
And it's my honor to present Dr. Page with the College of Visual and Performing Arts Distinguished Alumni Award. Dr. Page.
Thank you. What an honor it is to receive this award. I've been a proud alumni of UNCG for many years and have returned to the campus more times than I can count. I've seen the School of Music continue to prosper, both physically, because my classes were in the old buildings on Tate Street, and in national and international reputation. My time at UNCG was influenced by many friends and professors, and I remain dear friends with several individuals who were students with me there then. Many of the current faculty have been my friends and colleagues over the years, and I have been honored to serve our profession with them. My 3 years of doctoral study were so pivotal in my development as a musician and an educator. One professor was my dissertation advisor, Dr. Jim Sherbin. He became a dear friend. And Jim taught me how to write and rewrite and write again and keep writing it over until I got it right. And I think that Jim had higher expectations of me than I had of myself. Because when I was a student at UNCG, I would never have dreamed that I would serve at the national level of my professional organization, or that I would have taken choirs to sing throughout Europe, or that my students would become leaders in their fields. So I hope that I've lived up to Jim's high standards. Some of you may also remember Barbara Baer, a professor whom I could never call anything but Mrs. Baer. She had a dominant personality, and her graduate students really had no choice but to go with her flow. And I'm sure none of us ever regretted it. Once, Mrs. Bear arranged for a teacher from dance education to come over to the music annex and give some of us a movement class. Sue Stinson, I know you don't remember that lunchtime session, but I do. And I used the techniques that I learned in that session and in your book in my teaching for years to come. And to Sue Scarborough, I've known your marvelous work from your years of teaching in Wake County schools, and I'm so proud to receive this recognition with both of you. Over the years, I've been an activist for arts and for arts education. I've asked congressmen and congresswomen on Capitol Hill to support music education. And I've spoken with state legislators to advocate for an arts requirement in high school. Now that was about in the year 2009. And that arts credit has just recently been approved. So change sometimes comes slowly, but it does come. All of us here have been advocating for the arts for so many years, and we certainly find these pandemic times to be especially challenging. But as I have been in touch with friends and colleagues and former students, I've discovered that talented, dedicated people find a way to make art, be it in music or dance or theater or visual art. And whether it's in an outdoor classroom or an amphitheater, or whether the students are spread to four corners of a room, or maybe it's with the assistance of amazing new technology, people are finding a way to express themselves because they have to, because the arts are essential and they always will be. And I'm grateful to each of you for the part that you have played in creating art for our world and for the ways that you have helped others to do so also. I am so humbled and feel so privileged to be among you. And again, I'm so honored by this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Page, and congratulations on your award. Our final award tonight will be presented by Natalie Soul, Director of the School of Theater.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the faculty, staff, students, and alums of the UNCG School of Theater, we are so proud, and I have the pleasure of introducing Sue Scarborough as our distinguished alumna. Sue received her master's in education in theater from UNCG in 1999 and has always been the epitome of a theater educator, sharing her gifts and talents with young people and young people at heart throughout the state of North Carolina and beyond. When I asked folks about Sue, they said, oh my goodness, yes, Sue. She's been so important to so many of our students. So not only is Sue an alum, she's also helped produce many, many UNCG alumni. She has directed so many young people and created pathways for many more young people to explore and learn the art of theater. She's directed over 100 shows at Enloe Magnet High School, where she taught for 25 years, at Raleigh Little Theater with Carrie Players, at Seed the Art Share, and beyond. It is so clear that at the heart of Sue's work is dedication and commitment to community. And she has been serving on boards of directors and directing for community theaters, attending to the needs of growing artists, creating resources for arts educators, founding organizations to support artists and teaching artists. The North Carolina Theater Arts Educator Organization created the Scarborough Scholarship in 2005 in honor of Sue. The hallmark of a true arts educator is their willingness to continue growing and to experiment. And Sue has clearly done this. She's developed site-specific work and directs new original pieces and puts new spins on classic works. And we are incredibly grateful for Sue for continuing to spread the joy that is theater and to direct people, direct young people and the young at heart towards this field that we all appreciate. So congratulations to Sue. We are incredibly honored to acknowledge you tonight.
And it's my pleasure to present Sue Scarborough with the College of Visual and Performing Arts Distinguished Alumni Award. Congratulations, Sue. And we'll now hear from Distinguished Alumna Sue Scarborough.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you, Natalie. That was just lovely. I appreciate that, and I look forward to meeting you. Natalie's new, and I can't wait till we can be in person. Won't that be something? So I'm so very honored with this. I was surprised because I have been a public school teacher for so long. It's like this many years, but I did indeed get my master's there in a summer program that was designed for teachers who work during the year and could get their master's in the summer. And I learned a lot. I made a lot of connections and got a lovely raise from the state because of that. The bad news is that that program doesn't exist anymore. The good news is that there is a program that still exists that is near and dear to my heart that I would like to talk about tonight. And it is the North Carolina Young Playwrights Festival. And it is a unique collaboration between this North Carolina Theater Arts Educators, that is the teacher organization for the state, and UNCG Theater Education and Triad Stage. So this started like 20 years ago. Almost 20. I went to see Lorraine Shackelford, who was then head of theater education. And I said, Lorraine, I've got this idea. What if we took the plays that kids 4th through 12th grades are writing, brought them to UNCG, and had the theater students stage these works at a professional stage? And she said, yes, and I could see the wheels turning, and she was getting excited, and she said, let's go see Tom. So Tom was head of the theater department, so we went over, and I would just take a minute to remember and acknowledge Tom Humphreys. So we went over, and Tom listened, and he said, in theater speak, yes, and what can I do? So he helped us go to Triad Stage and talk to them about the project. And now everybody has said yes. I was amazed. I was so excited that everybody was embracing my idea. So here it is. This is what happens on Theater Festival Day. The young playwrights from 4th through 12th grade come to UNCG for the final rehearsal of the play. The UNCG students have been rehearsing and preparing this. So imagine what that's like for a 4th grader to be in the room with college students rehearsing a play that they wrote. So then we go to Triad Stage and have the presentations, and it's like fire in the room. It's electric. It's kids' ideas, their point of view, presented with care and love by UNCG students. And then afterwards, we have a discussion with the playwrights and UNCG students and a professional playwright. And for many years, this was Alan Cook. So I'd like to take just a minute to remember and acknowledge Alan. So this love fest just occurs during the day. So what happens is the UNCG students get to work with kids in ways they would not ordinarily get to work with them. The K-12 teachers get to meet UNCG students. And indeed, when I retired, we hired the student, UNCG student, who had been running the playwrights program from the student end. And the kids imagine the power that they now have to continue in whatever they choose to do, knowing what they can create. One of my early memories is one of my students had written this piece that she now calls very pretentious. It was non-linear. It was an exploration of love. And these two grad students presented it. And as it began to develop, I was shocked. It was beautiful. It was lyrical. It was clear. And one of those grad students is Josh Purvis, who now runs the theater ed portion of the theater department for UNCG. And he takes such care and continues to promote this project that has meant so much to me, to teachers across the states and students across the state. So I want to say thank you to Josh and to UNCG. And thanks again for this award for recognizing a teacher.
Congratulations, Sue, on your award. And I'd like to say congratulations to our class of 2020-21 Distinguished Alumni, Sheena Rose, Sue Stinson, Andrew Langford, Fran Page, and Sue Scarborough. Your comments tonight have been inspiring to us. Your lives and your careers are a model of what this college produces. I'd like to recognize those members of the staff who made tonight possible. Amy Moore for the arrangements for our distinguished alumni and the beautiful plaques. Kayla Bullock for designing the beautiful program. Terry Relos for the invitations and managing the guest list. And to Ken White for tonight's PowerPoint presentation and the technical aspects of tonight's ceremony. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for the various ways that you continue to give back to the College of Visual and Performing Arts. And once again, congratulations to all of you on becoming distinguished alumni of the College of Visual and Performing Arts. Thank you and good night.